Sir, when I asked you about your first report regarding the protocol, you told us October 10th, followed by your supplement on the 17th. You did not remember the day that you first received any information offered by Mr. DeSorga. Is there a document that may refresh your memory?
Yes, there is.
May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you.
I want you to read this. I just want you to look at it. You can look at any part of it.
Okay.
And look up when you're done, then I'll ask you a question.
Okay.
Does that refresh your memory the first time that you saw any information provided by Mr. DeSorga?
Yes, it does.
And when was that?
November 7th of 2024.
Before or after you recognized the megabyte oversight?
That would be after.
I want to go back to where we were at before we went to lunch. You had described two text stream events. I want to focus on the first text stream event, and that is the text stream event relative to the three-point turn.
Okay.
You had described that there was a timestamp 154. Just to reacquaint us, can you very briefly tell us the significance of 154?
Sure. So GPS point 154 is a GPS point that occurs just before the three-point turn starts.
And why is it important to identify when that turn starts and when it ends?
Sure. So what we're specifically looking at comparing is the end of the three-point turn. That's going to be the text stream event ending, which is near the end of the three-point turn, as well as the end of the three-point turn as recorded in Mr. O'Keefe's iPhone.
Was it important to identify the beginning and end of that event to come to a conclusion to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty regarding the variance between the text stream data and Mr. O'Keefe's phone?
Yes, there was. So we can't say, we can pinpoint approximately when the three-point turn ends based on the GPS data. But best practice would be to use a range of time. So the range we're using is the time that the three-point turn starts to the time that the three-point turn ends.
Could we have from Mr. Burgess's PowerPoint number 41, please? Is this part of your presentation helpful in explaining the beginning and end point of that three-point turn?
It does. It does. So if you recall yesterday, the first heading change from a general north heading is depicted by that green shading circle.
Could you use your pointer, please?
Sure. Yes.
Ms. Gilman, can you enlarge just a little bit?
So again, this green circle is going to be the center of this circle is going to be the GPS point itself. That's going to be centered on the horizontal radius, which is the accuracy. So the green circle represents the 16-foot accuracy zone. The black arrow coming off in a northwestern direction is going to be the heading for that point. And then again, the yellow is going to be the approximately 8 seconds later when the heading changes again in a southerly direction. And then the GPS points after that also continue south with increasing speed.
What part of the three-point turn event does the green circle signify?
Sure. So that's going to be the approximate beginning of the three-point turn.
And that time?
That's going to be 12:23:59.
The yellow circle, what part of the three-point turn does that indicate?
Sure. So that's going to be approximately the end of the three-point turn. And that time is going to be 12:24:07.
Is there any correlation between the times in the green, the time difference between the green and yellow circle and the range you ultimately arrive at as far as the synchronization variance?
Yes, so that is what determines that range of 21 to 29 seconds.
This illustration or diagram where you've put the green circle, is that based on actual data?
Yes, that is based on actual data recorded by Mr. O'Keefe's iPhone.
That data, is it accurately reflected in this diagram?
Yes, it is. So again, the GPS point that is recorded within the iPhone, every point has a horizontal accuracy. And again, that horizontal accuracy is depicted by the green circle.
Is that level of precision used when you create this diagram?
Yes, it is.
The yellow circle, is that specifically reflected in the data, or is that an estimate?
Sure. So that's specifically reflected in the data. So that is another GPS position that has been recorded by the iPhone. Again, with a horizontal accuracy, a timestamp, and a speed and heading.
How about the orange circles?
So the orange circles are are portions of the GPS positions leading up to this event. So if we went back one slide, you would see, it would zoom out, obviously, so a little bit harder to see. But essentially what we've done is I've removed the other orange circles representing GPS points heading north and the GPS points heading south after the 3-point turn. And I've just removed those for clarity to kind of clean up the map so it's easier to read.
On the left, text stream 11621. Remind us again where that information comes from?
Sure. So that's the text stream. That's the end of the text stream event for the 3-point turn. And that is based on the infotainment clock as well as that running timer from the airbag control module.
Does this diagram reflect the data that you reviewed to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty?
Yes, it does.
In breaking down this timestamp 154 and getting into the minute detail of when it started and ended, one of your charts, does it also show it numerically?
Yes, it does.
Can we have number 40, please? Before we discuss this again, where did you get the information to put in this chart?
Sure. So this is coming from Mr. O'Keefe's iPhone. Specifically, it's coming from a SQLite database that is recording locations as he's using the Waze app to navigate.
Is the information in this chalk or diagram directly from the data?
It is directly from the data.
Is this accurate to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty?
Yes, it is.
If we could zoom in just a little, we'll have to go left to right, Ms. Gilman. We start with the left. Timestamp 154. At what point in that 3-point turn does 154 represent on the left?
Yeah. So timestamp 12:23:58 or GPS point 154 is approximately 1 second before we see the heading change. If we could zoom out just a little bit. A little bit more. Yep. So we see the heading change represented in green. That's a heading change to 284. Before that, we've got a pretty consistent heading of 348 to 339. So that first heading change, as well as the drop in speeds, is indicative of a 3-point turn maneuver.
The latitude and longitude, did that assist you in making the diagram with the circles on it?
Yes, it did.
How so?
So the latitude and longitude are the center points for each GPS point, or the center point for each circle.
There's a green highlighted row and an orange highlighted row. What's the difference between the two?
Sure. So the green highlighted row is, again, the beginning, the approximate beginning of the 3-point turn. And the orange or the yellow is the approximate end of the 3-point turn.
And the time between the green and the orange lines?
Approximately 8 seconds.
Is that consistent with the range that you've shown for synchronization?
Yes, it is.
Point 21 or plus 21 and plus 29?
Yes, it is.
The inevitable variance that you found between the text stream data and between Mr. O'Keefe's cell phone, could you share with us to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty what that variance is?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Do you have an opinion about the time range in the synchronization between Mr. O'Keefe's cell phone data and the Lexus clock that shows the text stream data to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty?
Objection, Your Honor, an appreciated approach at the appropriate time.
Okay, so answer that question, yes or no.
Sure. So yes, I can.
So I'll see you at sidebar again, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Your Honor.
we go back to slide 40, please? In reaching your conclusion about the variance between the defendant's Lexus as contained in the text stream, as it relates to Mr. O'Keefe's iPhone, was stamp 154, timestamp 154, part of your analysis?
Yes, it was part of my analysis.
Was the running clock on the text stream data part of your analysis?
Yes, it was part of my analysis.
What else was part of your analysis?
Sure. So in addition to the location data, including the GPS 154, that would be the running clock for the text stream data, as well as the infotainment clock from the Lexus.
How does the running clock correlate with the text stream data and with the time on Mr. O'Keefe's iPhone?
Sure. So they correlate. So the running clock and the infotainment clock are used to create that timestamp for the text stream events 1 and 2. And then comparing those to the iPhone, we can adjust and get a clock variance for those.
Did you come to a conclusion to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty about the variance range between the defendant's Lexus and its clock system and Mr. O'Keefe's phone?
Yes, I did.
And to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, what is that variance that is needed to identify for synchronization?
Oh,
That is 21 to 29 seconds.
We now have number 43. Did you create this diagram?
I did, yes.
When comparing the text stream event, the backing maneuver, to Mr. O'Keefe's clock on his phone, do you recognize the different timestamps on each device?
Yes, I do.
When you are trying to synchronize them, what do you do? What is the base? Do you start with the text stream event and you add, or do you start with Mr. O'Keefe's phone and subtract?
Sure. So we could do it either way because we're wanting to compare this against other events that happened or occurred on Mr. O'Keefe's phone. We're going to adjust the text stream clock or the Lexus clock to Mr. O'Keefe's clock. But you could do it either way.
The window that is depicted on this diagram, this is not the 3-point turn.
No, this is not the 3-point turn.
Which event is this?
This is going to be the backing maneuver.
The green, what does that green depict?
Sure. So the green depicts the range of time that this text stream event ended. So based on our range of 21 to 29 seconds and applying that, adding that to the Lexus clock, we get a adjusted time of 12:32:04 to 12:32:12. And that's going to be the approximate end time of text stream event 11:62:2.
Now, again, the text stream data has a limit on the amount of time available?
Can you rephrase your question? So I
Sure. You
understand.
said a window is captured during a triggering event.
Sure. Yes. So
What's-
there is a window that's captured during the triggering event.
And what is that window? How much time?
Sure. So from the text stream trigger, there's 5 seconds before and 5 seconds after.
Can an event be longer than that 10-second window?
Yes, it can.
And in this case, do you know at the end of this reconciled event at 12:32:12, do you know from your study what direction the defendant's car was traveling at 12:32:12?
It would have been traveling in reverse.
And at 12:32:12, Do you know how fast the defendant's Lexus was traveling at 12:32:12?
I do not recall.
Mr. O'Keefe's last user interaction with his phone at 12:32:09. Where does that fall within the 10-second window that was captured by the text stream data?
Sure. So that falls within that 8-second window. So again, the text stream event ends somewhere between 12:32:04 and 12:32:12. But that does not represent that the backing maneuver has ended. Just the recorded data has ended.
And in your review, do you have around this time any other movement of Mr. O'Keefe's phone after 12:32:16?
I did not look at that specifically. It was my understanding that Mr. Whiffen looked at that.
To a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, did both these events, the last user interaction and the window captured on the reconciled data for the text stream, happen around the same time?
Yes, they did.
I have no further questions. Or I can approach later or now.
So we can approach again for me.
Your Honor, I move into evidence the following pages from Mr. Burgess's PowerPoint presentation. Move into evidence page 41. I move into evidence page 40. And I move into evidence page 43.
Okay, loud.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
All right,
Okay,
once we get these marked, I'll be-
thank you.
A, B, and C.
all right. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Leslie.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Burgess, between the time you left the witness stand yesterday until this moment, have you talked to anyone about this case?
No, sir, I have not.
Has a filing ever been made in any court in which your educational background has been misrepresented?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Pardon me?
Not that I'm aware of.
Did I understand that you're based out of the Apeture office in Texas?
Yes, I am.
And are you aware of a case in the United States District Court, Eastern District of Texas, Marshall Division, titled Jeffrey Glover and Teresa Glover versus Graphic Packaging International, LLC? Are you familiar with that case?
Yes, I am.
And is it correct that in that case, well, tell me how you are participating in that case, sir?
So I'm no longer participating in that case. So if I believe correctly, that would have been a accident reconstruction case from, I don't recall, a year or two ago.
And so it was a case that you did participate in, correct?
Yes, I did.
And what was your role in that case?
Sure. So my role in that case was an accident reconstructionist.
And did you provide any testimony, deposition, or otherwise in that case?
No, I did not.
Did you, in that particular case, there were, like all cases, filings made, correct?
I'm sure there were, yes.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I would like to have a document marked as the next exhibit for identification,
Okay.
please.
Exhibit EEE for ID.
May I present to the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Burgess, I am showing you a document which has been marked as Exhibit EEE for identification, and I'd ask that you take a look at it, sir. Your Honor, may I remain here?
Sure.
Thank
As long as you stand back a little bit.
Exactly, yes. Thank you, Your Honor. I'll take it even farther.
Yes.
Mr. Burgess, with regard to Exhibit EEE, do you recognize the second page, and do you recognize any stamping at the top of each of those pages?
Yes, I do.
And can you describe what that stamping is?
Sure. So that is stamping for a file date of 8/7/2023.
And is that a stamping of a federal court?
That I'm not sure.
If I were to show you a document, might a document refresh your recollection as to whether
Sure.
Exhibit EEE is a filing in a federal court?
Yes.
May I, Your Honor?
Sure.
I am showing you,
Did you show those to Mr. Brennan?
thank you, Your Honor. I believe I did, but I want to make sure.
And just let me know if we need to move.
We will, Your Honor. Can I mark each of
Yes.
these for identification? There,
Yep.
let me just give one first. See if I can see that back in court report. I want to see if this is the second page for that document. It is, so it can be marked as one document for identification.
Exhibit FFF for ID. Thank you.
I reach over you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you. Sir, I am showing you what has been marked as Exhibit FFF for identification and ask whether or not this document can refresh your recollection as to whether the court filing that you reviewed in Exhibit EEE is indeed a federal court.
Yes, it is.
So that document refreshes your recollection that what has been filed is represented in EEE as a filing in a federal court, correct, sir?
Correct.
Now, what I'd like to do is to draw your attention to the second page of this exhibit. Is that a curriculum vitae of you and a picture of you?
Yes, it is.
And sir, under education,
Objection.
I would,
The objection's sustained.
right. Do you,
Do you want to bring it over? We can take
I
it
will,
there.
Your Honor, I will.
Jurors, feel free to stand up and stretch.
May I approach again, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Burgess, I'm going to have to get a little closer in
Sure.
proximity. Bear with me, please. What I would like to do, sir, is to put before you again Exhibit FF for identification and Exhibit EE for identification. And what I would like to do is to ask you some questions, sir, with regard to the process in the case.
Okay.
Are you aware, or do you recall in this litigation that, as typical in litigation, including federal courts, that as part of the litigation process, the parties have to designate their expert witnesses? Are you aware generally of that process?
Generally, yes.
Yes. And have you participated in the documents that need to be prepared for an attorney or a party to prepare documents and submit them to a court to establish the designation of expert witnesses?
No, I have not.
And so you have never participated or never been aware of a process like this?
No, I'm aware of a process, and that process goes through other staff members
Okay, so it goes through other staff members where?
at Apeture.
Correct.
Correct.
Are you aware that that process is occurring, even though it may be done by other staff at Apeture?
Yes, I am.
And in this instance, you were aware in this litigation that staff at Apeture needed to submit documents in support of an expert witness designation, correct? Even though you may not have done it yourself, you were aware that some person or persons at Apeture were performing that process, correct?
Correct.
And they were performing that process so that you could be designated as an expert witness in that case, correct?
Correct.
And so you were aware of the process, you were aware they had to submit documents that would establish your qualifications as an expert in the case so that you could be designated as an expert witness, correct?
Correct.
And now specifically with regard to Exhibit EEE for identification with these court filings, etc., even though you may not have done it yourself, were you aware that this document, which is EEE, was submitted as part of the expert designation process we were talking about?
Not this specific document, no.
Were you aware that a CV was needed to be submitted on your behalf as part of the designation process?
Yes.
So you were aware a CV had to be submitted, but you're saying you don't recall this specific one being submitted?
Correct.
Does the timestamp up at the top of each page of Exhibit EEE, including this page that is your CV, match the timestamp, or is it different from the timestamp at the top of Exhibit FFF?
No, that is the same.
So it's exactly the same.
Yes.
And have you been involved in processes in courts where your qualifications, including your CV, have had to be submitted to courts to establish a designation as an expert witness?
Yes.
And can you conclude from these documents, including the timestamps, that the submission that was made to the court to establish your status and as an expert witness consisted of Exhibits FFF and EEE?
Objection.
I'm going to allow that. Were you aware of that?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this point, I move EEE and FFF into evidence.
You need one more step, Mr.
And sir, do EEE and FFF fairly and accurately represent the submission of documents in support of a designation of expert witness in this case?
Yes, as far as I can tell.
Your Honor, I offer these two into evidence.
I'm going to allow it over here.
May I interrupt briefly?
Yes, come on up. Bring those, please, Mr.
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh my god, if they have any more fucking sidebars, fuck. Luckily, we have a sidebar swoop. And double up. That was your daily double Over your sidebar swoop, coming to you from Melbourne, Australia, where it's fucking freezing. Yep. I really enjoyed yesterday because I got to play a lot of my little memes. I think I played most of them actually. Oh dear, I did have a giggle. Very, very funny. This is what I think of sidebars.
Do you know that?
Oh, this. I am absolutely sure that I would. But spatchcock just rolls off the tongue. I can't help myself, you know that. Where I get this shit from, I don't know. Like, I was laying in bed and all I thought of was the Brady Bunch and going, Arca. What the fuck? There's something wrong with me, really. If you haven't worked that out already. Why am I on mute? Oh, I'm on 2. I'm watching Steve's. I'm chatting in Steve's.
Every approach, Your Honor.
Yes.
I'm chatting in Steve's chat, riling him up. And I've got my screen share as well.
I'm going to have to stand here again, Mr.
Sure.
Burgess. So what I would like to do, Your Honor, at this time is to offer into evidence Exhibit E and Exhibit F for identification
They're still on the bra sizes.
as one exhibit.
Right, we'll do that.
And that would be the order.
Exhibit 193.
Thank you. May I hand it to the
Yes.
Mr. Burgess, I am handing you what is now in evidence as Exhibit 193. I would like to draw your attention to the 4th page, which is your CV. And further, if I could, sir, draw your attention to the category of education, where it says BGS. Is it correct that there you state Bachelor of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration, University of Alabama - Birmingham, Alabama, comma, 2024? Did I read that correct?
You did read that correctly. And this was filed in 2023.
Understood. So now what I'd like to do, Your Honor, is to keep this for a moment, Your Honor, give it to the witness as needed. Thank you. With Your Honor's permission, I would like to publish a document that is already in evidence.
Okay.
Actually, there may be 2, 183 and 184. Let's start with 183. Let's expand it. And then, Mr. Wolf, do we have what has just been to publish as well? So what I'd like to do is to publish first, with the court's permission, Exhibit 193 that we were just talking about, so the jury can see what has been the subject of discussion. And sir, if you, Mr. Wolk, if you could just enlarge, all we need is the education section. Now, Mr. Burgess, as I heard it correctly in questions from Mr. Brennan, you answered the question that whether you had ever filed a document that misstated your educational background in a court. Do you recall that question asked of you?
Yes, I
And
did.
your answer was no, correct, sir?
Correct.
So let's look at this document, which we've just gone through, was filed in federal court in the United States District Court, Eastern District of Texas, Marshall Division, which is a federal court. And attached to it is your CV. And in the line of education, it lists under BGS, Bachelor of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration, University of Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama, 2024. You see that, sir?
I do, yes.
Now, you stated, and now what I'd like to do is is there any qualification whatsoever in that line, that reference to BGS, qualifications at all, explanation, sir? Is there anything?
I don't know what you mean.
It's just a statement, right? There's words there. There's nothing after it that explains what's intended, correct?
Correct.
Now, what I'd like to do, Your Honor, is to go to what was filed in this case, which is in evidence, and we'll go to 183 and then 184. Now, in what has been filed in this case, there is a currently pursuing at the end after University of Alabama - Birmingham, Alabama, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Let's go back, please, to Exhibit 193. There is no currently pursuing there, is there, sir?
There is not, but that was filed in 2023, so that would be an expected graduation date of 2024.
Okay, so this document was filed in 2023. However, there's nothing in this document that in any way leads the reader to believe anything other than the degree is obtained on 2024, correct?
Correct.
So the only way somebody in the court system or a judge or a jury would know anything about this is to have to know about court filing dates, correct?
System.
I'll ask it another way, Mr. Burgess. You know how to write. Let's go back to 183 and 184. You know how to write currently pursuing on your CV, correct?
Correct.
And writing currently pursuing lets the reader know that you don't have that degree, correct?
Objection.
In that form, sustained.
You intend by writing currently pursuing, don't you, sir, that anybody reads this to know that you do not have a bachelor degree, correct?
Correct.
Now let's go back to what you filed in what was filed in federal court in that case. And it does not have the words currently pursuing, correct?
It does not.
So
Correct.
the reader, so it doesn't have that verbiage, correct?
Correct.
So isn't it the correct answer that you did file a document, your CV, in this federal court case that misstates the status of a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics and Business Administration?
Objection.
Sustained.
Excuse me, Your Honor. You stated again, sir, that you have not filed a document that misstates your educational background, correct?
Correct.
And the last time I'll cover it, you know how to put currently pursuing on anything to do with a Bachelor of Science, correct?
Correct.
A Bachelor of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration does not exist as an offered degree at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, does it?
Sure. So that is an error. Clearly, BGS stands for Bachelor's of General Studies, and that should have a with minor in Mathematics and Business Administration.
What is clear from that document that BGS stands for a Bachelor of General Studies? What is clear in that document about the definition of that acronym?
That is a known acronym.
Let's go back to Bachelor of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration. That degree does not exist. It is not offered at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, correct?
No, that is not.
So therefore, an incorrect statement about your educational background was filed in a federal court in Texas, correct?
Correct.
Yes, it was.
Because Hank won't let it go. You know,
That's it, Mr. Lessie? You
Yes.
don't-
he has to have the last word. Wait for it. He'll be back.
anything?
There is.
Okay.
I told ya. That's his personality.
The document that the attorney just showed you, did you submit that to the federal court?
No, I did not.
Still, you're responsible, dickhead.
Did you ever see that document
And
before it
blame
was
everyone
filed?
else. Take
No, I did not.
accountability. Ah,
The document says
you're a wanker. That's what it says.
2024 for a degree. Is there a presumption whether you had it or expected it if that document was filed in 2023?
Oh my god.
Yes, there is.
And what is the presumption if it was
The-
filed in
You
2023?
do not put it on your CV until you've got it.
So presumption,
Oh.
well, strike that.
Ah,
He asked if there was any designation to make it clear. If it says 2020, if it was filed in 2023 and it says 2024, what was your expectation at that time as far as your degree?
That I would complete my degree in 2024.
When you didn't complete
And what about
your degree
17
in
years prior?
2024 as
Like
you
we-
expected, did you then change your CV
Yes, I did.
to accurately reflect the change in your
No,
status?
no,
Yes, I did.
because it
And
still
what did
claims
you change it to?
you
Currently
had
pursuing.
a degree.
Why didn't you finish your degree in
'Cause you're a
2024?
dickhead.
Sure. So
It makes no
I'm going
difference.
with-
Why?
as most people can probably relate, work, family, and life many times get in the way. So as a
Ah,
personal objective,
There's the
I would
fucking
like to finish
violin.
my bachelor's, but again, work and life gets in the way.
Did you ever represent to a court that you
Yeah.
had a degree that you didn't
Yeah.
earn?
No, I have not.
He asked you a number of questions about this 2023 filing, but didn't ask you any questions about the data. Is your opinion regarding the data change in any way in light of his questions about
Yeah.
the 2023
Your credibility
filing
is
that you didn't
fucked.
file and someone filed on your behalf?
The objection is sustained. I'm going to strike that question.
You wanker.
Go for it.
Suffer in the jock's
All right,
head.
Mr. Burgess, you are all set.
Thank you.
Good job. Good job.
All right, I've had enough. I'm going to wipe my ass with you.
Yep. That was deserved. Sorry. Had to be done.